Coming up tonight on YCN News, today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Slick weather causes multiple motor vehicle accidents. And we'll learn about the Big Pats game over the weekend. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening and welcome to YCN News. It's Monday, January 19th. I'm Laura James. Well, across the country and region today, Martin Luther King Jr. is being remembered for his work toward equal rights for many Americans, especially African Americans. King is also being remembered for the work he began and tragically could not complete. The slain civil rights leader would have been 86 years old on January 15th, his official birthday. Legislation to mark King's birthday as a national holiday on the third Monday in January was signed into law by then President Ronald Reagan back in 1983. The law took effect in 1986, and states across the nation began to adopt the holiday legislation. U.S. Senator Jeanne Shaheen says King's legacy is one of equality and justice for all Americans. His message is an important one today as it was ever. As governor, Shaheen signed into law a bill making Martin Luther King Jr. Day a state holiday. As a high school teacher in Mississippi during integration, Shaheen witnessed firsthand the damaging consequences of discrimination and intolerance, and she also witnessed just how powerful Dr. King's efforts were. Today, I join people across New Hampshire in honoring Dr. King's legacy with a renewed commitment to his dream of justice and equality for all. Also a member of New Hampshire's congressional delegation, Congresswoman Annie Kuster says King's legacy is one of justice for all. King fought for every man and woman to be viewed as equals in the eyes of the law. And in every community across the country, Kuster said, though we have come a long way, we've yet to realize Dr. King's dream of equality and justice for all. On this day, let us celebrate the life of Dr. King and rededicate ourselves to completing his work and bringing an end to inequality and injustice across the nation and the world. And from the Vermont congressional delegation, U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders says the nation should never forget King's heroic efforts to end segregation and racial injustice. Sanders also says it's important to remember that he fought for a society in which all people would have good jobs at good wages and that quality education and health care would be available to all. In other news, traffic concerns took center stage over the weekend. Slick roadways in New Hampshire and Vermont caused many accidents. Some were serious. Fortunately, there were no reports of any fatal crashes. Most of the accidents took place Saturday night into early Sunday morning. Over 20 crashes were reported by Vermont State Police in Rockingham. There were several other minor crashes reported that were unable to receive response. That, according to state police, most of the crashes were due to drivers traveling too fast for the icy road conditions. Helping avoid crashes when a driver hits an icy patch may seem not the thing to do, but it is. Try not to panic. Do not step on the brakes. Let the weight of the car or vehicle you're driving slow the car down. Don't try to overcorrect the steering. This next story focuses on the power of sun. Certainly something we want to see help us get through the dreary winter days. Solar array panels to convert the power of the sun to heat and light, are now in place on town buildings in Cavendish, Vermont. That, according to the Eagle Times. An event to mark the solar panels going online and supplying power out to the grid will be held at 11 a.m. Monday, February 9th. After the break, we'll check the results of yesterday's big Patriots game.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Laura James. Residents in the Vermont Upper Valley town of Hartford will have the chance to decide if curbside recycling should remain a feature of town services. The Select Board earlier wiped out the municipal curbside recycling program, yet changed their minds last week. That, according to the Valley News. Now, later this year, residents registered to vote will decide if the $180,000 cost is worth the price. It also is needed as Act 148 takes effect July 1st of this year. Act 148 is the Vermont Universal Recycling Law. The act was signed into law in 2012. Well, in case you haven't heard yet, the Patriots earned a sixth trip to the Super Bowl with the second most lopsided AFC Championship victory ever. A 45-7 wipeout of the Indianapolis Colts. The Patriots website describing it as a raucous, rain-soaked win last night. There were some big milestones in yesterday's game, too. Tom Brady surpassed John Elway for most Super Bowls for a quarterback. Bill Belichick tied Don Shula for the most Super Bowls for a coach and broke a tie with Tom Landry with his 21st postseason win. And New England tied Dallas and Pittsburgh for most appearances in the Super Bowl with 8 trips to the big game. Super Bowl 49 will be played in Glendale, Arizona on February 1st as the Pats face the Seattle Seahawks. When YCN News returns, we'll check in with Kearsarge Chronicles' Lynn Solomon as she sat down for a conversation with Buzz Morrison, Nordic Director at Proctor Academy.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. Boy, it's been a couple of busy days weather-wise. Let's check out how the forecast is looking for the rest of the week with Matt McDonald.
Thanks, Laura. After tough winter weather this past weekend, it looks like skies will start to clear. Tonight will be partly cloudy with a low around 14. Then on Tuesday it will become sunny with a high near 25. Tuesday night should be mostly clear with a low around 4. Wednesday will be sunny with a high near 26. And Wednesday night may be partly cloudy with a low around 9 degrees. Let's turn to our YCN community calendar. On Thursday in White River Junction, Vermont, there will be a show entitled Are We There Yet? A Comedy of Errors. The show will take place at Freight House Hall at 7 p.m. Admission is $30. Remember, you can submit local events from your community by sending them to news@ycnnow.com. And now we'll take a look at Friday's sports results from our local high schools. In boys basketball, the Sunapee Lakers defeated Newmarket in a 65-43 win. The team has won 3 games in a row. In Sunapee girls basketball, the Lakers defeated Newmarket again, 66-23. Sunapee's record is 9 wins and no losses. An outstanding season so far for the Sunapee girls.
Thank you, Matt. When YCN News returns, we'll join Capital Connections' John O'Connor, who spoke with Neil Kirk.
The YCN News continues in a moment.